Hello and welcome to the Rhobin podcast. Today we have a regular podcast episode. We are going to be talking about at least 3 different finished objects. One is kind of finished, we'll talk about it. A few works in progress and at least one knitting plan that I have a swatch for. And so if this is something you are interested in, I hope you let me give you some company, grab some knitting and join me for a while. First off, thank you for all the wonderful comments that have been left in the last few videos. It is really lovely to see those comments. You're so kind and encouraging, and I really want to thank you all for that. Thank you to those who subscribed. It makes a difference, I guess, because it just helps more people find the channel, and so it has been helpful. Thank you. So I thought I'll introduce myself again. My name is Rhoda. I live outside the Greater Toronto area in a little town, and moving from Toronto into this town has been really good for us. It's been very quiet, very peaceful. We've had more time on our hands. We've been forced to eat healthy because there are not many eat out places around us, and so overall it has been really wonderful for us. We are enjoying our time here, and the weather also has been very inspiring to sit down and knit some nice things. I've always had this vision when it came to knitting that I would be sitting on a windowsill somewhere knitting, and outside the window is just gonna be a backyard or a meadow covered, blanketed in snow, some trees with no leaves, and then a bird robin flitting from one branch to another. And that was one of the reasons why I named this channel Rhobin Knits. Another reason is that it's just a combination of my first name and my middle name, but knitting has helped me feel that way. I might not be sitting on a windowsill for sure, or the window ledge, but it has made me feel very comfortable in the very quiet, dark winter months, and I've been enjoying knitting. I'm so thankful and grateful I'm able to knit. We had a lot of snow and wind the last few days. Last night, in fact, was really windy, and so it seemed just right for me to wear my newly finished object, which is the bloom sweater. This is a chest knit that I did for Brianna from Woolbird Knits. Like I was mentioning last time, the correct appropriate size according to the measurements, the recommended positive ease and everything. The sweater the size I was supposed to make was size 4, but I decided to size down and make a size 3. When I finished the sweater, it was clingy and I had to hold my breath in when I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was very scared that it was going to be a size smaller than I wanted, but blocking really helped. The sweater bloomed and grew, and although you might not see too much positive ease, that's the positive ease I have, so that would be about 4 inches altogether. Although I don't have too much positive ease, this is the kind of look that I was going for, and I'm happy that it turned out to be the way I wanted. I used Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the colorway Dark Ocher, and the contrast colorway is Marzipan. The yarn, again, this was the first time I'm using Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. It was really nice to work with. Now I'm really eager to try the fingering weight merino yarn, and I also want to try their soft silk mohair. I want to try their cotton merino, and so I'm hoping I'll be able to do that sometime later this year. For now, I am trying to knit out of stash. The reason I picked the dark ochre and the marzipan was, again, winter's scene somehow seemed to call me, and so when I look outside, I always find small bushes and brambles. They're usually dry and they're waiting for spring, and it's usually this color, is golden brown, and then there is snow sitting on all of them, and it's really nice. There's something very beautiful about that scene, and so I wanted to try and imitate that in a sweater, and I wanted to wear it in winter. I also wanted colors that would be okay for spring and fall as well. Summer, I think this would be too warm to wear, but considering all of that, I picked these colors and I'm very happy with it. Although I feel I could have gone a little more brown, but it's okay. The pattern is very well written. The color work is charted, and it's lovely seeing the pattern grow, but I think I can say that of all color work sweaters, and it's not something very specific for this one. Color work, therefore, for me is very intriguing, very potato chippy. And once the color work part is over, it takes some effort to get on with the rest of the sweater and finish it. For the needle size, all of the ribbing was done in 4mm needles, and the body of the sweater was done in 5mm needles. The color work, I went up a size. I went up to 5.5mm needles. That was recommended in the pattern. Although I'm not sure if that was great. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but in person I feel the color work is a little gapey. I can see some of the background color peeking through these big floats, these long floats that were carried over. I can see some color, the white peeking, but it ain't too bad. And from far, and I think on the camera as well, nothing is seen, and that's okay. But I think next time I'm not going to go down a needle size for color work. I'm going to try and stick to the same size and see how that works for me. For the sleeve, I didn't use 5mm. I went up to 5.5. I've realized I usually do the sleeves and any small circumference knitting I use magic loops, and with magic loop I have found out that I have been tightening my stitches, and so I decided to go up a needle size, stay at 5.5 along with the color work, and it kind of helped. It's given me enough ease in the sleeves. It's not too tight. I was able to do the decreases the way I wanted, but it's very comfortable. And sleeves are usually the place I would normally go up a sweater size just to make sure I could accommodate the sleeves, but now that I've learned how to make modifications for myself, I've been okay with going down a sweater size and either adding more stitches in the underarms or going up a needle size for the sleeves. So it worked out perfectly, and I'm happy, and I think I'm gonna continue doing that for other sweaters as well. One thing about the sweater and the yarn, I guess, is that when I finished the sleeves and blocked them, they were till here, and then I can see the sleeves have been shrinking and it's right now here. I've worn the sweater quite a bit since I finished it. I've worn it around the house. I haven't worn it out yet, but I intend to on Sunday, and even with lesser wear, it feels like it's shrinking, so I don't know if I should go back and add sleeve length. Usually I like sleeve length being this way because it helps me move around and do things more efficiently. I prefer keeping the sleeves this way, but I'm not sure I like them shrinking as much, so I'm going to probably wait and see, and if it shrinks too much, I might get another skein of yarn and increase the sleeves a little. That was the Bloom sweater. I hope you get to knit it once it comes out. The pattern release date is on Feb 4th, and yes, I'll probably share about it once the pattern is out. I'll just give a reminder again and put the links down below so you can go look at the pattern and purchase it. My next finished object was another test knit. This was for Kuto Vakika, and this is called the Late Checkout Sweater. So this is what it's looking like. I wore it with a shirt inside to take pictures. I decided to leave it that way so I remember what I paired it with, and I don't have to go looking for clothes to pair it with again. So this is the wonderful Late Checkout Sweater. It's supposed to be a very slouchy sweater with something that's more casual, something with a lot of positive ease. Once again, I went down a sweater size. I was supposed to knit size 4 based on recommendations again. I decided to do size 3 because I didn't want too much of a slouchy fit even with oversized sweater. This test knit I cut way too close to the deadline. The deadline was 24th January and I finished it on the 23rd and took pictures. Because this yarn is acrylic, I was able to throw it into the machine to wash, and the spinning helped with taking out most of the water, and then it was easy to dry it overnight and wear it in the morning and take pictures. So I cut it really close. Speaking of the yarn, I used Knit Picks Brava. It's 100% acrylic yarn. The main color, the gray, is Dove Heather, and the contrast color is just white. I had enough of the Dove Heather to finish it, but then I had second thoughts. I was second guessing myself. I did not want to play yarn chicken, and so I striped it with the white just to make sure the yarn lasted me longer. I don't think that was a great idea if I have to look at it retrospectively, but it made the sweater look different. It made it look good, and I'm okay with that. The initial intention for the sweater, when it came to what yarns to be using, Kika actually used 3 different yarns held together to make hers. So it was extreme marling, but a very, very pretty sweater. But I didn't want to use 3 different yarns to make a sweater that I was going to be used for casual wear it around the house. And so I decided to just use yarn out of stash, and I decided to use acrylic yarn because it's going to be easier to wash it and wear it multiple times without thinking too much about it. The pattern is very well written again. There were a few changes to be made, but the changes are made, and the pattern is going to be released sometime in February. Kika usually makes videos that go along with her pattern, so if you are a beginner knitter and you have only tried raglan constructions because it's easy, it's one piece, and you are worried about trying a drop shoulder, this would be a good pattern to start with. It's extremely beginner friendly. You would be learning a lot of new techniques. You would be learning about the drop shoulder to start off with. You would be learning about Italian bind off. Even if you just read the pattern, the instructions she has given for the Italian bind off is very in-depth and very informational, so that should be useful. So if you're looking for a new basic pattern to work on, something that has a lot of hand-holding both pattern wise and a video tutorial, this is a good sweater for you to look at. The sweater also goes by very quickly because it's knit using 5mm needles, and you can finish it in a couple of weeks at the most if this is the only project you're working on, or even less than that. I took a couple of weeks, but I had 2 projects going at the same time, and I had a lot of time as well. So it's very different person to person, but this is a good sweater to start off with. This sweater also made me go and update my Ravelry notes and be intentional about how I'm updating my Ravelry notes. I just felt if I want to go back and knit this sweater again, I need to have enough notes about it, if I made any changes or what's the size I knit. Sometimes I don't even put that on Ravelry. So it was a good practice to go to Ravelry and update my notes, especially as a test knitter, because I know other people usually look at patterns and notes before they want to actually knit it. So that was different this time, and I'm happy about it. My next almost finished object is the first gift knit for the year, and this is the mini Molly sweater. This is for a 1-year-old. I feel it's a little big for a 1-year-old, but he can wear it for a while. I can even go back and crease the sleeves. I'll just remove the sleeves, make it look like a vest, and add it to the body of the sweater. So this little boy is turning a year old on Feb 3rd, and my initial plan was to knit the mini Molly using leftovers from the care sweater I made last year, and that would have been Purl Soho's Good Wool. But I did not have enough of that yarn, and I was very, very scared I would be playing yarn chicken. And so I decided to go ahead and use the leftovers from what I'm wearing right now. I had 2 balls of the heavy merino in the colorway dark ochre and half a ball of marzipan, and I felt that was good enough to knit an entire 1-year-old sweater. I was also going up a needle size. The recommended needle size in the pattern is 4mm. I have gone up to 5mm, and it seemed absolutely okay. This is what the color work is looking like. I have borrowed they're basically polar bears if you didn't know them yet. I borrowed the color work pattern from another sweater called the Narnia sweater. This is by the Petite Knitter. She's renamed herself as Saskia and Co. And the color work went very quickly as usual. For this, I did not go up a needle size. I stuck to 5mm needles, and it seemed okay. And I still feel my color work on bigger needles, or just the stitches on bigger needles, are not very even and needs a lot of work. So I think for a while I will stick to color work with needle sizes 4 or less and see how it goes. And with that, I'll move on to works in progress. I'm sorry, my brain's a little fried. I didn't want to bring out the Stockholm sweater and show it to you because I haven't done much from the last week to this week, so I did not bring that sweater out to show. My second work in progress is a new cast on. This is the Traveler Shell by Andrea Maury. So I was able to swatch for this which is something I haven't been disciplined with. But this year I decided projects that I want to make and enjoy wearing for a long time, it would be better I swatched. I usually only swatch for test knits and I do not swatch otherwise, but I want to start making it a habit, making it a discipline. And so I swatched, and this is the swatch for the traveler shell. If you look at it, it does seem a little gapey and airy, but that's how I wanted it. I wanted it as a layer, a cover up for summer dresses in summer. And the yarn I'm using for this is Purl Soho's linen quill. I have heard so much of the yarn. I purchased this yarn last year, but I never got to casting it on or even touching it properly, feeling the yarn. So I'm happy I was able to do that. And the yarn lives up to its expectations. I can see why people love this yarn. I swatched using the recommended needles, which were the 3.5mm needles, and the recommended number of stitches, recommended number of rows. And I have realized the gauge swatch, however, is 1 inch longer and 1 inch wider. So it would look like a perfect square, but it's longer in all directions. And so I have decided to still go ahead and cast on with the same needle size that was recommended in the pattern and not go down a needle size, but I would go down a size of the pattern itself. So instead of knitting size 4, I am going to be knitting size 3, and I'm okay with that. I really like how drapey and airy this is, and I want to retain that in my finished object. I realized the Purl Soho's linen quill is more on the light fingering weight side. I don't have much to show. I just cast it on. I am on the ribbon. You can see how long this is, and it's of course going to stretch a little more with blocking, and I am very, very excited about this project. This was going to be my comfort wear for the year. This was on the list of projects I wanted to make for myself, and so I'm very excited about starting this project. The last week honestly has been a little stressful with work and just life, and so we're going to be taking a little time off, and we're just going to go see our friends and spend some time with them. And so I'm hoping I would have time throughout the weekend to knit a little on the traveler shell, and I'll keep you updated. My knitting plan, I have 2 on it. For one, I have a swatch, yay. For the other, I do not. The one I have a swatch for is the No Frills Cardigan by Petite Knit. This is what the swatch is looking like, and again you would see it's a little see-through. That is because Petite Knit, the yarn suggestion is DK weight, or holding fingering weight yarn with mohair. But I have decided to knit this just with the fingering weight yarn. One is because this is the yarn I have in stash, and this is the yarn I wanted to knit this project with, so I wanted to stick to that plan and knit it. And second is I didn't want to spend extra money. I made the swatch. I really like how it feels, how it looks, and this yarn has some nylon in it, so it is going to be long lasting as well. And since the cardigan is so long, I wanted it to be very lightweight and almost flimsy, and I wanted this cardigan to just act as a throw on over dresses and other things. And the person I'm knitting for is turning 50 this year, and so this is a very special knit for her. She had mentioned long ago that she has been looking for a long cardigan somewhere, a cardigan that hits her somewhere between the knee and calf, and she hasn't found one that she liked in a long time. It does not guarantee she's gonna like this, but I want her to feel heard, and I feel if that's something somebody wants and they mentioned it and you want to make a gift knit for them, we better stick to what they already mentioned and knit the same thing. The yarn, I forgot to talk about the yarn. This is Knit Picks Muse fingering. I think this is in the colorway Endurance Speckle. I'm not sure if it's Endurance or Dedication Speckle. I'll put the name of it over here. I should have got the yarn tag with me. That's the plan for the No Frills cardigan. I'm glad I got the swatch done and it's out of the way. I want to cast this on as soon as I finish the Stockholm Sweater. That is a pending gift knit from last year, and probably when I'm halfway through the traveler shell and I'm going to split for sleeves, I'll cast on for the No Frills cardigan. So it's going to be my uncomplicated TV knitting project. The last knitting plan I had is the Cognac Sweater. There are a couple of podcasters holding a knit along. I am unfortunately not able to pronounce the name of this podcaster really well, and so I'm going to just put her name down here. They are running a knit along for the Cognac Sweater. This is by Atelier Casted, and I have heard so much about this sweater. I've been wanting to cast it on for a very long time, and I'm just going to use this opportunity to cast it on. It's a simple, I think it's a saddle shoulder sweater. It's a simple stockinette sweater, and it's going to be a basic wear. There are two combinations that I'm looking at for this sweater. One is holding Knit Picks palettes, fringing weight yarn. I have it in the colorway Pumice Twist, and I want to hold it along with Holzgarn Lucia. Now the Holzgarn Lucia is a very unique yarn. It has 42% alpaca, 35% silk, 13% merino, and 10% yak. And I can feel it in the yarn. It's a beautiful, luxurious yarn, and I wanted to keep it for a special project, and I think this is a good special project to use it in. The second yarn combination is Knit Picks High Desert Sport in the colorway Stargazing, and I want to pair it with Camrose Minstrel. It's a glittery, it has a very thin strand of glitter yarn running through it, and I have a sweater's quantity in the colorway Jeans Blah, I guess. I'll put the names of the colorway as I speak, and probably the pictures of the yarn as well, so you know what I mean. And I'm a little conflicted about which combination to choose, but I am thinking about it, and I'll keep you updated. The cast on for that project is February 10th, so we're not allowed to cast on before that. I'll probably cast it on by February 10th, on February 10th or a little after, and you'll be able to see it once I cast it on. So I have some time to make up my mind. I just want to see what could be worn. I just want to see what color would work for me to wear it as soon as I finish it, and what would I be able to pair it with, what other clothes I have in my wardrobe that'll go along with the sweater. With that, we've come to an end of everything I wanted to talk about today. There is not going to be a podcast next week because we are going to be traveling all of this week, and I don't think there's going to be anything new to talk about next week either. So I will be back 2 weeks from now, and I want to see if I can find some time and clear my yarn storage. It's something I'm dreading doing, but I know I have to do it, and probably the incentive of doing it on camera is going to be a little helpful. So I'll say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. I hope you got some knitting done, and I hope to see you again. Happy knitting.